Well, hello there, ChannelBK. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Brian. Welcome to the final list, the top 20 movies of 2018. Super exciting. It was a great year for film. This was a very difficult and hard and weird list to put together. And let me just say that it took a while. And I was very proud of it. And I think, again, I was very excited to talk about these films with you and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to get right into it. Also, I'm very excited that I basically got to see every film that I needed to see in this year. Because usually a lot of the films open wider in the new year. But honestly, every film that people are talking about or has been out or anything, I got to see. So I'm very excited. So we're just going to get to a couple didn't watch. With American Animals, Outlaw King, Destroyer, and Shoplifters. And now for the honorable mentions, I got Blindspotting, which came out this past summer. At Eternity's Gate, the Vincent van Gogh sort of, not biopic, but in a way biopic. Overlord, which was that really fun sort of B-movie, World War II, zombie-ish sort of thing that came out in November. Hotel Artemis, which I think is the most underrated movie of the year. I cannot believe has got as many bad reviews as it did. I thought this film was so much fun. I thought all the characters were great, and it was just really good fun. And Love, Simon. This was a film that sort of snuck up on me. I didn't see it till like late this year, and I was honestly floored by how much I loved it. And also, like last year, I had funny little honorable mentions. Life Size 2, A Christmas Eve. Like, come on. I was 5 when the first one came out. When they told me they were making a sequel, I was so excited but nervous. Guess what? It was fun. I'm going to put it on here. You can make fun of me in the comments all you want, but guess what? It was fucking great. I don't give a shit. That was a fun honorable mention. Let's get to the top 20. And number 20, we got The Rider. Once again, this was a film that I didn't actually catch in theaters, but I was very lucky enough to see on Stars just a few weeks ago. This was a beautiful movie. This was very great. It's about a guy who is basically a rodeo rider, and he, has a bad injury, and the whole film sort of documents like him wanting to get better, him sort of trying to learn how to move forward past said injury and all that sort of stuff. The main 3 leads in this film are actually a real family, and I didn't really notice that until after. I mean, it seemed very obvious because there's certain people and themes and stuff that's mentioned in it that I'm like, well, this can't just be for the movie. It must be real people. And it's a very interesting look into this guy's life and his family. And like I said, there's a lot of really emotional, powerful stuff. I think the ending is one of my favorite endings of the year too. I love sort of the simplicity of it. And again, it's one of those journeys where I feel like you just kind of are in for the ride. And it's a very warm movie. It was very it holds you tight and it just doesn't let go. So I love this film. And number 19, we got a film that really was talked bad about, but I came to like it a lot, which is How to Talk to Girls at Parties. This is a film that kind of died down a little bit for me over the year, but I still really like it. I like its quirkiness, its uniqueness. Again, I feel like there's parts of this movie that I kind of got the gist of why it was sort of looked at a certain way. I know why people didn't like it. I mean, I was thoroughly into it the whole time. I mean, I don't know if it was just certain parts about it just got to me more than other people, but I don't know. I really liked this movie. I thought it was unique and fun. Definitely at least give it a try. And it's not everyone's thing, but I say it was fun. And Nicole Kidman gives a really weird out there performance. 18, we got Roma, Alfonso Cuarón's new movie, which came out on Netflix, and theaters as well. I really liked it. It's a grand movie, but it's very small in scope in a weird way. Or it's big in scope, but sort of the subject matter is very small in scope. It follows a sort of a maid for this more middle class wealthy family, and it's just a very emotional trip about love and loss and heartbreak. There's some kind of interesting political stuff that gets thrown in there. I think it was a really well thought out film. It didn't necessarily capture me as much as everyone's like loving it, but I definitely think Alfonso pulled off something very remarkable with this film, and it was very beautiful. There was some very, very emotional stuff in this movie that really got to me. At number 17, A Prayer Before Dawn. This is an A24 movie that came out this summer. I was so looking forward to it. I was thrown off by what the film was, based on a true story. And again, it's one of those films where, one, it has an ending where my breath was taken away. It's about a guy who gets arrested. He gets put in these Thai prisons, but he sort of learns to become like a boxer in the underground Thai boxing community, and he travels around and stuff like that. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a very dark movie. There's a lot of very grim imagery. There's a lot of dark stuff, but the journey is intense, and I think there's such an interesting... I just love the change. Joe Cole was also great in this film. Again, the character development in this is fabulous, and I just love the way it looks. It's just so grim and dark, and I love the colors, and it's just awesome. But again, very dark. Number 16, The Favorite. Obviously a new one from Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, director Yorgos. What can I say? This was a darkly funny but also just haunting film. It had Yorgos' touch all over it, and it definitely had a different kind of feel and a build-up. It definitely felt a lot more simple than his past two films. I think every film up until this point, I think since he sort of made that sort of bigger film with, I know he had Dogtooth and stuff like that, but with The Lobster, he's been slowly sort of getting to this point, and it fits him very well. And just the psychology of Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz's characters with Olivia Colman, and just I don't know. I love just the progression of their whole triangle, and just, again, the ending, the way it's edited, and just what it sort of gets across is haunting. It was just incredible. And I love the cinematography too. I mean, his past two movies have looked great, but again, this is such an interesting sort of take of a film for him, but it works perfectly. Number 15, we got The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, a Coen Brothers movie. Once again, was not really going into this expecting much. Not to say I was thinking it was going to be bad, but I was like, okay, this might be a good, decent film, and, it's the Coen Brothers. I was really taken aback by this. All the shorts, basically, I don't know. It's just... One in particular really stuck out to me, and if you've seen it, you know which one it is. It's one that involves, and I wish I knew the actor's name, but it's the cousin in the Harry Potter movies. I should have looked it up before I did this video, but Liam Neeson as well, and they're sort of like a traveling sort of tour thing, whatever, and it's he goes around and tells stories and stuff. Honestly, one of the most powerful pieces of storytelling this year. I think that kind of shot it on the list, but everything else is great too. There's a great short with James Franco. The intro, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, is funny, but I think it just gets even darker as the whole thing goes along. Zoe Kazan has a really great one, and Tom Waits shows up too. I think every short is very unique and interesting, and I'm surprised that people weren't into this all the way. I fell in love with it. I thought it was really great. Number 14, Mission Impossible Fallout. Honestly, I don't want to say too much about this other than it's just a fabulous action movie. Christopher McQuarrie comes back with just a fabulous film. The helicopter sequence, the bathroom sequence. Oh my God, with Tom and Henry. Oh my God. It's just... I don't think it's as good as the fifth one. I still think the fifth one is the best. I will admit it gets just a tad long, just a tad. But for the most part, I love how it's its own thing, but it still culminates all the other Mission Impossible movies. And again, it's just a fabulous action movie, and it's just well done, and I just was on the edge of my seat. It's just so good. So good. 13, we get the obvious documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, about Mr. Rogers. Again, I don't think I could say any more than everyone else has said about this film, which is it's just a beautiful tale. It tells very interesting stuff. I was surprised that it actually got to some darkness. Not necessarily darkness, but it was nice that the film, we were going into it, Mr. Rogers being this, this messiah, this happy guy, this beautiful, peaceful guy, blah, 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 blah. But there's actually some interesting drama that we learn about. And again, it's very eerie when some of the stuff mirrored in this doc relates back to like modern life now. And I just thought it was really well done. It was just a very emotional doc, and I was definitely a huge fan of it. Number 12, mid-90s. Jonah Hill's writing and directorial debut. Honestly, I was into this movie. I loved the way it looked. From the very first trailer of it, I just was like, this is going to be awesome. And I definitely think after it was over, I feel like I did see this film twice. I feel like I lost a little bit for it the second time around because, again, the first time I think I was just so much in love with it. But I just love all of the characters. And again, it's a very kind of bold film, you know? Like, I don't think it's not necessarily a film you go into thinking any sort of way. It just follows this very interesting journey. I honestly, you know, love it. As his nickname is in the movie, Sunburn. His journey is great, and I love all the other supporting cast in here. And Nakel Smith. Holy crap. I was so excited when I learned he was going to be in this film. And yeah, it was great. It was great. And at number 11, we have the soon to probably be cult hit Mandy. Nicolas Cage, man. Somebody said it best on the internet where they said, imagine it like Mad Max, but it was directed by David Lynch. I don't know why I just forgot his name. And honestly, going into it, thinking that and coming out of it, yeah, it was special. It was very special. Again, just a cult film at its finest, and it was just brilliant. I loved it a lot. Top 10. Oh, and also, Johan Johansson's score was amazing. Rest in peace to him as well. Number 10, speaking of Nicolas Cage, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This film, man, I was so excited. I was hoping it was going to be so fabulous, and it was. The animation, the cast. I'm so excited. We've had 2 great tellings of Miles Morales this year, and it's exciting that this film is, you know, doing so well in terms of critics and stuff like that. Obviously, Phil Lord, Chris Miller did a phenomenal job putting a great team together to put this film out. And again, I love Spider-Man to death, and this film just was, again, just great cinema, but also a lot of great layers to it and a lot of great themes, and everyone I thought was just a great character, and it was just amazing. Number 9, we got First Man, the Neil Armstrong sort of biopic. Even though it does, I think it's more of the culmination of Apollo 11. It obviously follows him, the new film from Damien Chazelle. Honestly, I was very taken away from this film. In the first couple minutes, of this movie is the most emotional thing. One of the most emotional scenes or openings to a film I've seen. And the ending when they get to the moon is just mind-blowing. Honestly, the reason why I like this film so much is it was just very interesting seeing all the behind the scenes of how long it took to get there and all the casualties, honestly. And I know some people had kind of a sort of a so-so thing about Ryan Gosling's portrayal. You know, people joked about how it's just kind of him going back to his old sort of, you know, kind of stoicness. But from what, you know, you read about Neil Armstrong, that was kind of who he was. That was the reason why they picked him. And I think he pulls it off very well. Again, I thought it was interesting. I feel like you don't need to really get pulled in that much by him because I think he does it enough in the opening. I think you get sucked in, and then from there you kind of just understand who he is at that point. So, very, very great movie. Number 8, we got Burning. Oh, boy. When I was dying to see this movie, mainly because of Steven Yeun's performance. I heard it was fabulous. And honestly, it made me so mad because there was 1 or 2 little parts in it that I was like kind of like confused by, like, why is this in the movie? If those parts weren't, I think this would be a basically flawless movie. It weirdly enough, just like its title, it's a burn. It's a slow burn. The metaphor of it is, I feel like when you figure it out, it might seem kind of like, oh, that just seems kind of lame and whatever. But when it all culminates and you really start thinking about it in greater schemes of sort of South Korea as a country and its culture, my God, it was so good. And it was, again, one of those films where you just, the whole time, you're just like, what the fuck is going on? But it was, I loved it. It was so good, so good. In my opinion, my favorite foreign film of the year, because it seems like it's been doing, or foreign films have been doing great this year. At number 7, we got You Were Never Really Here. I'll admit, first time I saw this, I wasn't confused or anything, but I didn't really get into it like everyone did. I thought Joaquin's performance was haunting and just, traumatic. And it wasn't necessarily the ambiguity that got to me. I think I just kind of lost a lot of it first time around. Like, I was kind of confused, like, because, again, I feel like it's definitely a film where it doesn't give you all the answers. But I don't think it's necessarily in a way that, like, I've seen films in the past where it's ambiguous, but I'm like, I feel like it's just ambiguous to be like, oh, figure it out yourself, but you're like, it kind of doesn't make sense. In this case, it does. And it's this, again, a very kind of dark, slow burn of a film about Joe, who's a war vet, who is, rescuing these girls from sex trafficking. And the thing that's very haunting about this film is just the way that Lynn, the way she directs and writes it, how it's very much like you don't really get a sense of the violence. It just feels like everything is weighted on Joe. He doesn't feel proud of what he does. Like, he feels like this is just such a task. Like, you could just see the emotional toll on him. And again, on second viewing, even with the music, there's this part in the water with Johnny Greenwood's score that's haunting. Again, one of the most beautiful, captivating things I've seen in a film this year, and it's just gorgeous. And again, not for the faint of heart, but honestly, I'd say if you do see this film once, please rewatch it again if you weren't super into it, because I feel like second viewing, you definitely get a sense of, you can relax a little bit and know, okay, so I remember this and this, because this film has so many layers, but I feel like once you really pay attention the second time around, it all makes sense. Number 6, the total opposite, Paddington 2. Yes, this film came out in the US this year, so it is counting on my list. I know it came out in the UK last year, but I'm going to tell you, I'm so proud of myself for finally getting into these movies. This one, again, it's just nothing but pure joy. It's just pure fun cinema. Hugh Grant, oh my God, so great. The cast, so great. The ending, I bawled my eyes out. Oh my God, this film is fabulous. There's nothing more I want to say about this film, but just watch it. Just do yourself a favor and watch these movies, because it's just pure fun, and just your cynical self is not going to dislike this movie. At number 5, we got another horse movie. It was The Year of the Horses. The A24 movie Lean on Pete. I love this movie a lot. Charlie Plummer is his debut in this film. Steve Buscemi also shows up. It's a very interesting coming-of-age story about a kid who sort of needs to find himself in life. So he becomes a horse trainer. The horse is going to be sold because he's old and all that. So he kidnaps him, basically. Or he, steals the horse. And it's a kind of a buddy road trip movie. And the reason why I love this film so much is it deals with one of my favorite topics in coming of age films is the idea of like wealth, with like young kids feeling afraid of like, where they come from or how they look and stuff. That's a big topic here, but I just think it's done so well. His performance is very he puts it all out there. And again, I feel like once again with movies like this, if you do it in a different aspect and you put in sort of a new MacGuffin in a way, but it's done very well, and you care about the characters and there's different elements to it, it's going to be great. And I thoroughly love this movie. 4, Black Panther. I mean, once again, my favorite comic book movie of the year. I don't know what else to say that everyone else hasn't said. I loved it. I loved the culture. Everyone was fabulous. Michael B. Jordan, fabulous villain. Chadwick was great. Lupita, Andy, everyone was phenomenal. And obviously I like the soundtrack that came with it. But in terms of Marvel Pantheon movies, I feel like this was one of the few, like Winter Soldier, where it was able to be a Marvel movie but also extend its reach in a very bold way that like made it feel like a Dark Knight or a Logan, where it's like these films can't really do that because they do all feel one and the same, but this, like I said, like a Winter Soldier or whatnot, was able to capture something more. And it's just I love the dynamic in this movie. Number 3, BlacKkKlansman, this new Spike Lee joint. Um, I don't know. I just kind of was into this movie. John David Washington was fabulous. Adam Driver was great. I don't know. I just liked all of the storylines that this film dealt with, and again, just the again, like everyone, I joked about the whole Dave Chappelle skit when I when I first heard about this movie, but the script is great, the direction's great, and I love the style. And again, it just definitely was a film that from the moment it started to the moment it ended, I just was very just into, I was just very much into, and I definitely think it's a must watch. Number 2 and number 1, this was something that really stressed me out for the past 2 months, because there was one film that I switched to number 1 because I thought it was so great, but I feel like for some reason I just couldn't leave it at number 1 when I got to the end of the year, even though I think it's underrated and nobody's talking about it enough and nobody's seen it. But I still think it's fabulous, and that is number 2, Widows. How has no one seen this movie? Go see this movie. Buy it on DVD and Blu-ray when it comes out. Watch it 50 million times. Oh my God, probably the best ensemble of the year. The fact that this film was able to tackle so many different topics about politics and race and men and women and just all of the dichotomies of the hierarchies and all that sort of stuff, and just wealth. Everything about this film is fabulous. From the moment it starts, I was into it. Steve McQueen, you did a fabulous job. It's remarkable. It's just a remarkable film. Honestly, please watch this film. It's such a great heist movie. And Daniel Kaluuya, how has no one talked about Best Supporting Actor for him? Like, come on. Oh, it's ridiculous. But number 1, let's just say it, 8th grade. I saw this movie back in July. Bo Burnham, man, I love that guy. He's fucking amazing. And this film was absolutely amazing. And second time around, it was just as good. I thought I was on the hype train, but no, I loved it. It was awkward, but it was heartfelt. For somebody that deals with what she goes through, and I mean, like, usually these type of films always make it really high up, but, the anxiety and, the shyness and her making her videos, Kayla's just, she's me. But, and Josh Hamilton does such a great supporting role as her dad, and Gabe, motherfucking Gabe, greatest film character all year. We need to protect Jake Ryan as an actor. We need to protect that boy. We need to love him. We need to care for him. We need to watch out for him, because I'm telling you, he was amazing. But no, this film made me bawl my eyes out both times I saw it. And I just think the way it's edited, and I just love some of Bo's decisions in this film, and you feel like you think you know where it's going to go every single moment, but it just completely throws you off. And yeah, it's an amazing film. Honestly, I can't wait to watch it again. But yeah, those are my top 20 films of the year. Do you share some of mine or any of the honorable mentions or didn't watch? Leave all that in the comments below. If you please like and please subscribe. You can check my other lists for 2018 and my classic reviews. Guys, thank you so much. We had a fun-ass 2018. I hope this channel brings a huge 2019. I hope you all have a great new year as well. And yeah, hopefully you guys will be getting a video soon. But I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK. Peace out, guys.